Hello and good morning. This is Evan here, also known as Molendinarius, the Latin for Milner, from the Latinum Institute. And in this short video, we're going to look at some more sentences from the Manuductio, otherwise known as a leading of children by the hand to the Latin tongue, by a certain J.S., published in the middle of the 1600s. So the book is divided into sections of 100 sentences, and we are now at sentence 20 in the first group of 100. Ultro veni, I came of my own accord. Ultro veni. This and the next 3 or 4 sentences are actually extracted from the Colloquia Scholastica of Corderius, and they've been repurposed here, because the first few sentences in the first 100 are sentences that are designed to help students get to grips with common phrases they would find when they first attend school. Ultro veni, ultro veni. Something a teacher may say to you: tenes memoria. Do you hold it in your memory? Can you remember it? Have you memorized it? Tenes memoria, tenes memoria, tenes memoria. Bene mones, you give good advice. Bene mones, bene mones, bene mones. Something that one may say to another student or to a teacher: pene istud oblitus eram. Pene istud, one would probably pronounce as penistud. Penistud oblitus eram. Or you could say pene istud oblitus eram. It's up to you whether you decide to make that elision of penistud or say pene istud oblitus eram. I had almost forgotten that. Pene istud oblitus eram. If one student has memorized something and the other student is checking their work, then the one student would say to the other: expecto ut proponas. I will wait while you propound. In other words, while you give over, you say, recite that matter that you have memorized. Expecto ut proponas. Expecto ut proponas, expecto ut proponas. If the teacher is going to reward you, the teacher may say: dabo tibi aliquid boni. I will give you something good. Dabo tibi aliquid boni. Dabo tibi aliquid boni. Dabo tibi aliquid boni. Itane semper facis. Do you always do that? One could say this to a fellow student, or a teacher could say it to you. Itane semper facis. Itane semper facis. Itane semper facis. And the teacher may say to you this, in a slightly sarcastic way, probably: si tibi non est molestum. If it's no trouble to you, do you mind putting your book back on your desk? Something like that. Si tibi non est molestum. Si tibi non est molestum. Si tibi non est molestum. And then the teacher may say, after you've done what you had to do: recte fecisti officium. You have done your duty. Recte fecisti officium. Recte fecisti officium. Recte fecisti officium. In other words, you've done the matter that I asked you to do. Recte fecisti officium. And something that a teacher may ask a student to do when they're learning how to count the hours on a clock with hands, Something, incidentally, that many students nowadays no longer know how to do because of digital clocks and watches and mobile phones and cell phones, etc. A lot of young students no longer can read the hours on a analog clock. So, horas numera, count the hours. In other words, tell the clock. Horas numera, horas numera, horas numera. Something that your teacher may ask you to do in school. And this little video was brought to you by the Latinum Institute, which you can find at latinum.org.uk, or alternatively, you can visit Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com, and just do a search for Latinum, and you'll find the Latinum Institute's language course there. There are currently 331 students enrolled, and the Latinum course has got an enormous amount of material for studying Latin, including complete Latin audio courses from beginners through to advanced, and lots of subsidiary material. So, for example, if one were to look at the Latin streaming catalog here, you can see that there is an enormous amount of material. It's also a Greek streaming catalog and 2 catalogs for downloading zip files of the materials. And there's a small Aramaic and Hebrew catalog as well. Materials ordered by beginner, beginner plus, intermediate, intermediate plus, advanced. There is a model curriculum, and the materials are as follows. The Adler Latin course, which is a complete Latin course, which will keep you busy for a couple of years of application. It took me 2 years to record this, working pretty much every day. The recorded course is much larger than the textbook because all the paradigms are fleshed out in detail in audio, etc. So 97 lessons and 191 hours, more or less. I think it might be actually a bit more than that. A practical grammar of the Latin language as an audio course. Aesop's fables given in Latin, English, Latin, and then reread in Latin only. So this is a good way to learn vocabulary, etc. Intermediate level, although a beginning student could also access these because they are in English and Latin. And that goes for all of the English-Latin materials I've produced. They can be listened to by a beginning student, but they are intended for slightly more advanced students. Pronunciation of Latin, bits of Bible material, the book of Jonah, the entire book of Psalms, and the Psalms project includes Psalms in different Latin versions. For example, Psalm 1, we have a Vulgate version, Castellio's version, Buchanan's version, the Psalterium Pianum version, a Hebrew version, and a Latin and Hebrew version, and so on for the others. So the entire book of Psalms is here, and some of them are in multiple versions. We have various other materials. I'm not going to go through all of this. Caesar Deconstructed, and Caesar Vocabulary, where the words are given in Latin, English, Latin, to help you learn the vocabulary. You can just listen to that while you're walking around and pick up some Latin vocabulary. The Bello Gallico, some Catholic materials, Catullus, Chickering, Coleridge, poems for learning Latin to help you learn vocabulary, little poems in English that teach you Latin vocabulary, and so on. Comenius, more Comenius, Comenius, more Comenius, more Comenius, Corderius, and so on. I'm not going to go through all of these. You can visit latinum.org.uk and have a look yourself. And if you wish, you can subscribe either as a student or simply to support the project on YouTube. Vale, goodbye.